day's a day, a bad luck's always coming my way.
For today's Grimm adventure, we find ourselves in Salem, Massachusetts, a place we like to come and visit whenever it's Halloween time. Last time we were here, the big video that we did, the filming location video, was for Hocus Pocus, Halloween classic. This year, we decided to do something a little bit different. This year, we're doing the filming locations to Rob Zombie's movie, The Lords of Salem, one of my personal favorites. When it comes to the filming locations to The Lords of Salem, basically, Rob Zombie and crew filmed in Salem itself. I mean, it's a movie about Salem, but they also filmed it in Los Angeles. So this video is going to be all about the filming locations here. And where we're starting this video off at, Greenlawn Cemetery, they actually filmed here too. We're going to get to it in a little bit. But it's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, what were you saying, Baby Goal, about the moss?
The bridge is covered in it. It's really cool because you don't get to see things like that very often, nonetheless touch it. It's so soft.
When it comes to Rob Zombie movies, you either love them or you hate them. It just so happens that my favorite Rob Zombie movie is The Lords of Salem. And the fact that we're here during Halloween filming this filming location video is kind of making me very happy. Now, if you've never seen the movie Lords of Salem, basically, it follows Sherry Moon Zombie, who's a radio disc jockey who is haunted by these witches, this coven of witches in Salem, and this really creepy music. It's a song that's played that, well, you have to watch it to see it, but the band is called The Lords of Salem, and it's a perfect Halloween movie. You have to watch it. Baby Goal, I saw you behind me throwing leaves. I figured at some point this trip you would.
Ready?
Go for it.
Yay.
All right, let's go have some fun in Salem. The very first shots of the movie are actually of the witches dancing and doing their little ritual in the woods. That was actually shot out in California. But then, right after the title card, we get the date card where it says Monday, and then the camera sweeps just like this right across the street, right at the corner of Essex and Hamilton. And then you see this house right here. And it stops right about there. Beautiful place. Walking across the street, it's important to note that they only filmed the exteriors here. All the interiors, like the hallways, those massive rooms, like her apartment, were actually not filmed inside here. They're filmed on a soundstage, both between California and here in Salem. But this is it. So we're not going to be going inside. But just to stand here, this is cool.
Makes you wonder, why this house? Of all houses in Salem, why this house? There's definitely a lot more houses that have more personality to them. This isn't a bad house. It's not. It's lovely, but just curious how houses get picked.
A lot of the movie The Lords of Salem actually take place inside Heidi's apartment building. So it only makes sense that they wouldn't film it here, that they would actually build it on a set somewhere instead of filming where people actually live. So for that reason, we're not even going to try to get on the inside. But being able to stand out here, especially with Halloween decorations on the front door, man, this is cool. From here on out, we're going to be hitting the rest of the locations on foot, because for the most part, all of the filming is right on Essex Street, going right down through the heart of Salem. There's a few other places like the cemetery that we're going to visit, as well as down by the water. Baby goal. There's one location that we've been trying to find. We've been doing a lot of research, especially here with our feet on the ground, and that's the location of the radio station. It's a very distinct building, and if you look at the side of the building, there's an old billboard that talks about caster wheels, like the wheels that you would find on wheelchairs and like little like hospital trays. But we think that it wasn't filmed here, that it was probably filmed somewhere out in California.
I am getting that feeling because otherwise my sleuthing abilities are failing me.
But that doesn't stop us from trying to find it. So Jessica throughout the day is going to be trying to do as much research as she possibly can. There's one more location that we really want to get into, and that's out in LA. It's the big theater scene at the very end. It's the Los Angeles Theater. It's a place that we've been wanting to get in for quite some time. Not for this video. Again, let me reiterate, this is only the filming locations here for Lords of Salem, actually in Salem. Yeah, Halloween fun. Now before we line up some shots, let's talk about this fountain for a moment. Now obviously it's here, it's on, it's still pretty warm out, but in the Lords of Salem, while they're filming, it's not turned on, so you don't even know that it's here. So it's kind of neat to just be standing here and seeing that. But all of the filming itself was actually on the other side of the bridge, and we can line up shots very easily. When they were here filming the Lords of Salem, there were hardly any leaves on the trees, and you can tell how cold it is. But from right over here, on this side of the pond, is where they had the camera set up, and in the center of your screen, that's the bridge that Heidi, Sherry Moon Zombie, would have walked across. There goes Jessica. Of course, with the lack of leaves on the trees, you can see the steps that we were just filming on, as well as a couple other tree trunks. But that's it. This small pond in this cemetery in Salem. You see that street sign there that says Moss Path? Remember that. Now I will say this about the crew of the Lords of Salem. They definitely really used this cemetery. They found some of the more interesting angles. Now in this scene, Heidi, Sherry Moon Zombie, can be seen walking right down this road just like Jessica is doing. And behind her, you can see this little pathway. It goes up there to the left. But if you look very closely behind her, you can see some tombstones that match up perfectly.
They use a very clever shot. It was from way over there, wide angle shot. You can see these pointy tombstones here. And right about where I'm standing, there used to be a street sign for Fir Avenue. It's not here anymore, and it's one of the ones we were looking for. But then you see too, these tombstones, and these helped finding this tiny little Fir Avenue.
Right? These are the ones that you can see right behind her as she's walking. Pretty neat. Absolutely beautiful cemetery. Like everybody here in Salem, I mean, keep in mind, this is like the middle of October that we're filming this. Everybody here in Salem is down in Salem proper. There's hardly anybody here in this cemetery enjoying it like we are.
Almost every person we've seen have been walking their dogs here.
Just like Heidi did in the movie.
Just like she was, yeah. I guess it's a local thing, so maybe she lived close by in the movie.
Look at that, there's a woman walking her dog right there. Which is funny because the very next shot that we see is when the camera is pretty much right where I'm at. It's a little bit of like a depth of field perception kind of thing, but you see the tombstone that says Foley, F-O-L-E-Y? You can see it real quickly as you see Heidi walking her dog the opposite way up towards a church that's up on the top of the hill. And there it is right there, the church that can be seen behind her. It's a cool looking church, right? Now I always found this interesting because remember, she's out walking her dog. She walks by this church, and then the very next scene, she's inside the church and she's talking to the priest. What did she do with the dog? The dog's not in the shot, if I remember correctly. But it could be in a different scene altogether, because if you look closely, the stained glass windows really don't match up.
Maybe she tied him up outside.
Possibly, possibly.
Still strange.
I really don't think we're going to be able to get inside this church, but we at least got to try. The pathway walking up to it's really neat.
It's beautiful.
I feel like I'm in a storybook.
Like I'm walking up to a cottage?
Right?
A witch cottage? Yeah.
Doesn't appear to be anybody home. Go ahead and try the door.
No joy.
Nothing. This is probably my favorite shot in any Rob Zombie movie. Now, after the scene in the church where she ends up falling asleep, and you get a very adult, a very grotesque scene between her and the priest. You see her outside sitting, the dog is next to her, so she had to have tied him up somewhere. And she's sitting right where Jessica is, smoking a cigarette. This camera angle is really freaking cool. Well done, Rob Zombie, well done. In the movie, Sherry Moon Zombie might not have been sitting that close to the building. There's a little bit like a depth of field Hollywood movie magic there. You can see dead leaves on the ground. But when she's sitting here smoking the cigarette, she looks down the road straight ahead, pretty much towards where I'm standing, and she sees the guy walking the goat through the cemetery. That's definitely not here.
No.
It's got to be somewhere else in the cemetery, so we got to find that too. It took us a little bit to find this location. And the reason why it took so long to find it, there are 2 trees missing in this shot. You can see they're actually highlighted with the sun right now on both the right-hand side and a little further down on the left. There's 2 new trees that were planted. But in this scene, you're gonna see what it looks like 4 trees, 2 on either sides of the path as he walks right towards the camera. There's a couple scenes where Heidi's walking through the streets of Salem and she walks right in front of this town hall, which can be seen also in the movie Hocus Pocus. This is where they had the Halloween ball where the Sanderson sisters were singing.
I wasn't the kind of guy who would really learn from other people's mistakes. That was just not the way I did it. You know, if I did it, I was going to do it, and I was going to learn the lesson the hard way, which I did repeatedly. So here I am, not wanting to learn from other people's mistakes, and I'm trying to help you guys.
In the movie, you never actually get to see Heidi walk through the front doors, but it's kind of implied. So right inside these doors, the same building where the Sanderson sisters were singing. Well, in the movie, the filming location was back in LA. This is where Heidi goes to her NA meeting. We get another shot of Bruce Davison's character, Francis Matthias, walking towards the camera right here on Essex Street. I'll point out a few different things. On the right-hand side, you can see the Witch History Museum sign. That's changed from whenever they filmed. But way down there, right over top of Jessica's shoulder, you can see a signage. It's like this teal, this mint kind of teal color. I don't know what you call it, but that's still here the same too. this statue can be seen in the movie as well. Bewitched.
The dead bodies of 32 female members of the Salem Historical Lifer Society were discovered this morning in what appears to be an apparent mass suicide. The Society's members are all descendants of the original Salem village dating back to 1636. Police remain puzzled and have no motives for the suicides at this time. In a related story, police still have no leads in the disappearance of Adelaide Hawthorne, better known as Heidi LaRock, 1/3 of WIQZ's Big H team. Miss LaRock had been missing since attending the Lords of Salem event on the night of the suicides. After a thorough search of the Palladium, police have found no evidence that she had been among the victims.
When it comes to the engine house, you only see it real quickly. It's like during this collage, but there's something really cool about this place, aside from being just a very small filming location.
Wendy, I can't make an exception. The oven's already off. Look, I got a couple calzones left. I can drop them off on my way home. How's that?
Well, like I said, they only filmed a small portion of the movie there. It's like a real quick scene, like an establishing shot scene. But when they were here, the cast and crew, this is where they would often go and eat. Some of the best pizza in town. Rob Zombie loved it. In fact, one night while they were here eating, they signed a bunch of stuff, and supposedly there was a ceiling tile that had blood on it. We went in there to talk to the owner. It's under new ownership, and supposedly all that stuff was either taken or stolen by somebody. They couldn't tell me. Well, that's about it, Baby Goal, for filming locations down here in the historic part of Salem. We still have to go out towards the water. And you're just having fun with these crunchies. Is it the sound, or is it the feeling, or what is it?
It's both. I have a thing for touch sensory and things that are crunchy, so this meets both criteria.
Our next stop on our Lords of Salem filming locations tour brings us down by the wharf. And we're looking for, there's a scene where Herman calls Heidi. We know it's down here, but at the same exact time, we're just kind of taking our time because this is beautiful. Maybe if we walk out here, we can see it. Wow, look at all the boats on the water.
If I may say, it is beautiful, but stinky.
It smells like the ocean. The sounds of the water though, right? What do you think, Baby Goal? This is your second time in Salem. First time we came up here, we did Hocus Pocus. This time we're doing the Lords of Salem. What do you think of this place?
I love it. I couldn't be here when it snows, but I do enjoy a visit.
Hey, it's me. Yeah, I was just calling to say what's up and make sure everything's all right.
Well, look at this. This is sad. The pier is no longer here. Instead, we have a sign, not even a full sign, it's a half a sign that says access facility, pier demolition, Salem Willows, Salem, Massachusetts. And it is gone. Had no idea that it was demolished.
That's sad.
I really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
So, after getting here and seeing this, we pulled up the image again just to make sure on Google that we were in the right spot, and we are. And if you look closely, especially towards the end of the pier out in the water, you can see the wood just kind of like chipping away and falling into the water.
Yeah, there are some holes in it even just from Google Earth.
Man. Even though the pier is no longer there, you can at least walk out. I love the sound of the water.
Yeah. You can see along the rocks, there's a bunch of rotted out wood, so I guess it may have been in a bit of worse state of disrepair than we thought.
Right? And with that being said, all the way from Salem, visiting the filming locations to Rob Zombie's movie, The Lords of Salem. Thank you for joining us on another grim adventure. Until next time, happy Halloween.
Wherever I come, bad luck is coming my way. Wherever I go, hard luck is there to stay. Good luck never stays a day. Bad luck's always coming my way.